on it, and that means we've been there.
We were there, and then the crew came in later. It was good.
Councilor Lewis. Just tell your staff and crew, we appreciate everything you do, and we feel like we have one of the best in the state.
And I wholeheartedly believe that this, the crew that I have right now, I will top to any department in the state, because we have to do it all, and there are many departments that do one thing and one thing only per crew. But this crew is multi-disciplined, and we can attempt and perform any task that is required of this community at almost any time.
Is there a statewide convention or meeting or something that happens with fire crews around the state every year?
We have a state meeting in June. I'm not sure where it's going to be this time.
And how do we get that?
How do we get that?
Get that to come here?
I have no idea.
Yeah, well, let's find out how to
Let's
get it
find
to come
out.
here.
Are you going to volunteer to chair that committee, Councilor?
Sure.
Okay. Because I don't know how many
Well, the
people are on for that one.
That's a job for the chamber, and the chamber would, I'm sure, would be happy to try to make that happen.
We had one last year. How many do you want me to have?
Just one a year.
Just one a year. That's all. Okay.
Don't you have
We'll work
that
on
every
that.
year? Somewhere around the state, don't you take?
For Tri-State, we have it around the Tri-State area. This year is going to be in Albuquerque, and
Right.
next year it's going to be in the big town of Milan.
Yeah, you hosted it when? Last year. Last year? Isn't that what
Colorado
Mike was talking
teams.
about?
There's a state convention as well, for New Mexico only.
I'd like to see that.
I'll get in touch with the powers that be.
And on that note, I think it's a great idea that you go around all the commercial buildings.
And I've tried to entice them over the years,
You
and
can start with
them
the
what
ones
have you.
that the city pays money to, the Arts Council.
Those are done automatically. They'll be doing them in February. All the city buildings will be done this next month. They don't have a choice. I'll assign
Yeah,
them
all
to
the rest of them too.
I'd love to do all the rest of them as well. The motels, hotels come under the purview of the state, the schools as well, but I still notch them in my ability to go around. But we will, I'm gonna try and promote to go around to all the commercial buildings.
And you came and then the state came later, everything was already done.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Financial quarterly report. Come on up, Tammy.
She has such a good look on her face, like, why do I want to go up here?
She'd rather talk to each one of us individually than be here in public.
Yeah.
But well,
I put the quarterlies in each one of your packets, I don't know if you have questions.
Closer to
Pretty
the
much
mic.
on budget of what we estimated.
Get closer to the mic. That's the big thing right there.
thank you, Chief. Thank you very much. Thank you, Councilman Lewis. Thank you very much. Michael, first up, you got any questions on this budget? Where we're at with it?
No, actually looks pretty good. I think Tammy's done a great job with keeping us in check and letting us know when we have money available and when we don't. And it gives us, as a council, a little bit more guidance on what we can do and what we can't do. So I just want to commend your good work, and I really don't have any questions regarding the numbers. They all look good.
Councilor Sandoval?
I wouldn't know the difference of one page from the other,
At
but
least you're honest, baby, because that's a lot of times that's how I feel when they start throwing these numbers out.
I would rely on our city manager
Yes.
to keep me informed of what the finance director is doing.
Eddie, got any questions?
I'll tell you what, this is thick, guys. She's doing an excellent job, and I'm glad it's her and not me. Thank you, Tammy.
Councilor Lewis, you got anything?
Just a couple of questions. What's our total budget, Tammy? I've heard 25 million, is that correct, roughly?
No, I think it's the total of the 4,000,006 plus what's in our investments, so about 12.
Just curious. People ask me.
All the time.
Yeah, the only year that was higher than that was 8 or 9 was when we had First Street to do, when we got money from the state. But by the way, did we ever get that money?
No, we're still working on it.
My turn.
Yes, sir.
Tell me about the golf course. How are we doing as far as our accountability, our liquor sales, our food sales, where we're at? Every department at the golf course?
I compared, numbers from the past month, the past years. We're down about 13% on just what I could take the difference of your green fees, cart fees, and I can't compare the food and beverage because this is our first year.
So we're down 13% now.
From last year,
Yeah, we were
and
down.
from FY13, we're down about 25% total.
So it was 12% the year before, Chief.
Mhm.
That's one thing that worries me about the golf course, guys, and it's a nationwide trend. Less and less people are golfing. Okay? I mean, we're down 25% in 2 years. Of course, that was 1 year before we took the golf course over, and 1 year since we've taken the golf course over. Just something that we need to keep an eye on. I noticed in here that our maintenance budget out there, only like 33% in, 34% in the maintenance budget. So that'll offset some of it. It just, I don't know, there's gotta be a way to get more golfers out there.
Can I say something, Mayor?
Please.
All due respect,
Please,
you know, we're in our off-peak season right now for golfing, so
Yes.
that's a reason. We'll be hitting the peak season here within the next couple of months as it starts warming up a little bit. Now, I did talk to Oscar a little bit on Saturday night regarding this, which I shouldn't have been doing business on Fun Time, but I did.
I told you, no politicking, man.
Yeah, so what I did is, I talked to him about a few things, asked him how things were going, but my biggest concern, and his also, was bringing in people to the restaurant. And I don't think people are aware, or the community's not even aware of the changes that we've made, that the hours that are available out there for the kitchen to be open. It's like a restaurant. I mean, we could treat it as a restaurant. That's income. I mean, it's a good thing. It's a different change of pace from eating at all the other establishments that we have in our community. And so we need to do a little bit more advertising and make the public well aware of what we've got out there. I mean, we've got a nice facility that serves great food. I mean, my kids love going out there to eat. You know, even if it's just a coyote dog, it's just a change of pace. It's something different for us to have, and I think we need to do a little bit more advertising, let the people aware of what we've got out there. It's a jewel. We can treat it as that, and let's get some people and get to advertising. Let them go out there
I know
and share that with us.
Oscar submitted some ads, and so did I. I've been having my coffees out there, and that's good too, because a lot of the people, we've been getting 8 to 15 people at each coffee, and many of them have told me, I've never been out here before, and I didn't realize, you know, what was here, so that's helping. But I paid for ads every other week, and then Oscar's paying for an ad the other weeks that's supposed to be promoting. And then we created some wrap cards that the new marketing coordinator has just submitted for printing, and we're going to be taking those to the state legislature to pass out so that people know up there. But then we're going to start distribute them at various places throughout our region to put on their little display racks so that it'll have our golf course. And then I'm also trying to develop some for the airport as well, so that people realize we have an airport here that you can fly into.
Okay. Now, you say by advertising, what are we doing? Just by newspaper or?
That's what we've started with.
Local?
Yes, local newspaper.
I think we need to reach out a little further than that. And I'm looking at more towards Gallup, Albuquerque. I know a lot of people that do come from Albuquerque during the summer months that come and share our golf course with us. And they love it. They think the green fees are exceptionally low, affordable, should I say. So they like coming out. And if we can get the word out, I mean, we could probably increase our revenue. Yeah, send something. We gotta do something, even if it's in the Journal, even if it's in the Independent, Channel 10, get the word out.
Councilor Quintana, we visited with the county at their meeting on Friday, and Tessa was there from the chamber, and she requested, I told them about the fund that we had budgeted for this last year, the $50,000 that we put in a fund in our budget that was to be used for advertising, promoting our community, table tents, cards, things like that. And just straight up advertising in other publications. And the county is talking about matching that number with us. So if we had a pool of money like that where we could advertise in their local publications that promote their area, then maybe that's one way to get more people over here.
Good. That sounds like-
And in Albuquerque too.
Sure.
And one thing to note on that, Michael, right now, all the comparisons that Tammy has done has been month for month.
Okay.
Okay, just so you know. And it's just, like I said, it seems to be a trend nationwide is what I'm getting from everybody that I talk to about it. I mean, I'm not much of a golfer, I play once or twice a year.
Well, I'm gonna throw another little bit out there, now that you said that, our weather's been different than last year
Yes, it
also.
has.
So, you know, the snow, nobody wants to go play in the snow because then they can't find their ball.
Oscar still tries to get him to do it though,
And he
buddy.
still does, but, you know, and on a serious note, you know, the thing is that we gotta look at the numbers on the big picture. Weather takes a big effect with that, because that's an outdoor event. Nobody wants to go freeze out there and play in the snow and whatnot, so a lot, it's different than last year. Last year, we didn't get no moisture. Last year, we didn't get no snow, so people played, and they were nice days.
I compared our revenues from midpoint last year to this year's midpoint, and we are almost 7,000 higher in revenue at the midpoint. So, we're making.
And I think it'll all fold out in the wash, guys. I think it'll all fold out in the
Just so
wash.
you guys know that the food and beverage and between the liquor sales, that in 3 months, we're looking like about 20,000. That's not including, you know, the cost of goods, but that's the revenue we brought in.
I think it's all gonna look good.
Did we end up increasing our green fees, our car fees?
Yes.
So they're in effect as of
Yes.
January
They're in effect,
1st?
I
The day we passed it, it was back when we did it in
Back in
October.
So we're,
Yeah, they
been
went
doing it
into
since then.
effect right away, they already changed them on their board over there and everything. So,
Any more questions?
thank you, Tammy.
Thank you, Tammy.
Keep up the good work.
Ditto.
Wastewater treatment plant, come on up, Mr. Forskens. Come on, Bob. Smile, Bob, come on, man. I know it's Monday and all, but come on.
Long day. Mr. Mayor, councilors, my name is Bob Paulette, I'm with Forestman Associates, and we have been tasked to develop a preliminary engineering report for the city of Grants and the wastewater treatment. This is the report. We have, you also have within the city, the appendix, which is about this thick. And I apologize for not giving all of you a copy of the appendix, but it was rather onerous, and I don't think anybody would want to necessarily read it. And I apologize also, I had some foam boards. I was going to show you where all of this information was in the report, and it would be in a great big thing that I could show it and I could point to it, and what I will have to do is say, it's on this page. So, bear with me, and I think maybe that'll keep me from droning on, so maybe it'll be better. The administrative order that was issued by NMED is the cause of this work that we're doing, the preliminary engineering report, to potentially replace your facility that you have for wastewater treatment. It is rather long and lengthy, but it cannot be denied because the existing treatment plant, which was built almost 20 years ago, over 20 years ago, is very good, very due for replacement right now. The proposed effluent criteria you'll find on page 33. And it shows that basically it goes through the numbers and has the proposed flow would be 1.5 million gallons a day. And it, with a dry weather peak at 1.8. We use design criteria for biochemical oxygen demand and TSS, and ammonia at 250, 250, 50, with about 8 milligrams per liter phosphorus. We looked at what will be anticipated at the end of this project planning period, which is 20, 25 years from now, would be a 10, 10, 10 with 1 milligram per liter phosphorus. Those are not necessarily guaranteed, but they are very reasonable for you to expect that you would have to be designing a facility to. We gave all that information to various alternatives, that people that manufacture equipment, and they gave us back alternative proposals for the equipment that they have. But keep in mind, the basic core of a wastewater treatment plant is the aeration system and the blowers and some of that equipment. But what you have on site right now at the headworks, at the beginning of those alternative wastewater treatments, the screens that you have already are very good. They're in the process of being repaired, and they will be able to last for quite a while. We didn't look at replacing equipment that was still good. So we also looked at the disinfection system at the end of the treatment plant and said, it's still working very well. So there's no need for us to replace that. We looked at the core wastewater treatment, which is the stuff in the middle. And we looked at 7 different alternatives. And actually, one of them was no action.
That's not an alternative.
That's not an alternative. No action means that basically you do nothing. And actually what would happen is probably the mayor would go to jail, and then somebody else would become mayor, and they would go to jail, and somebody else would go to mayor, and pretty soon we don't need wastewater treatment in the city of Grants. And I don't think that's a realistic way of looking at it.
No, it's not.
The alternatives that we did look at was an upgrade of the existing facilities with a what's called a activated lagoon, utilizing the existing lagoons you have. That's alternate 2. Alternate 3 was a continuous flow sequencing batch reactor. Alternate 3 was alternate 4 was a sequencing extended aeration. Alternate 5 was a integrated fixed film activated sludge system. Alternate 6 was a biological nutrient removal following the modified Lutsak-Ettinger model. And alternate 7 is what is called a moving bed biofilm reactor. And that's the last time I'm ever going to say all those words. What we basically did was we looked at that information, gave them the quality of the effluent we required, and said, what equipment would you have that you could provide to us, and how much would it cost? We took that information and also added site preparation, the concrete for the tanks, and all of the other components, the buildings that might have to be required. We added all those up and came up with total costs. From that, we then looked at electrical cost and some of the variables that might happen between those different alternatives, mainly with electricity use is the biggest one. But also for achieving that 10 milligram or the 1 milligram per liter phosphorus from 8. Some of them could and some of them could not remove the phosphorus. And so we would put in a chemical filtration system that might have to be added to their system. All of those components are shown in each one of the alternate descriptions, and I feel free, please, to ask me questions or read that on your own and determine if you have any additional questions. And I'd be glad to talk to you about it. I don't believe it's appropriate at this point in time to walk through the details of each one of the types of systems, but these are very reasonable cost systems to look at, and I think it was very comprehensive in our overall evaluation. There is a
Are they similar in cost?
no. If you look at page, okay, before I get to the cost, look at page 27 to 28. You will see 27 is the page before that has a description of that particular facility that we were looking at. And it has some pluses and minuses, and then it shows a figure that shows where we would be placing that on the existing treatment plant site. That's at page 28. It actually doesn't have a page number, but it's,
29,
29, I'm sorry,
after 28.
after 28. And it basically kind of gives you a feel for the size of the system we need. It's basically all going to fit within one of the cells that we have on site. And we've talked extensively with OMI. Can we, during construction, operate the treatment system without that? Because we would have to bypass that treatment area. And during the construction, about a year. And they think they can do it, but there's nothing that they have necessarily that they can say exactly. However, that seems like a reasonable approach, that we would put it on that site. If we do not want to do that, and we want to continue to utilize there are several sites nearby that we can utilize to put the treatment plant on. But it made a lot of sense to keep all the buildings, et cetera, together as much as we could. So we were looking at a concrete structure with some type of a aeration and clarification system, and then a blower building, and maybe we would also have some of the sludge handling facilities in the same location. The costs for each, if you just look and don't read the details necessarily, are usually always following that picture of that alternative that we looked at. But then what we did for your help, for your assistance here, you can look at page 52. And you'll find this table right here. This basically shows you the summary of the capitalization costs of all 7 of the 6 alternatives that we really looked at. Alternates 2 through 7.
These are all in the same location?
Yes, and within the report, you will see a layout of each one of those on that same page. And it's using cell 7 always as the location for the treatment facility. And it's a good system that you have out there, because 3 of the cells are 10 feet higher than the last 2 cells. And that allows us, and it's one of the things that sometimes frustrates engineer on retrofitting an existing system, we have a 10-foot fall in the hydraulics on the site that we can utilize for putting this new system in. And that helps us immensely. It made it very, very simple to say that's where we want to put it, because it's essentially directly upstream from the disinfection system, and it's directly downstream from the headworks, and it fits in very nicely. If you look at the different costs that we have in the first part of that table, and the costs range on a total capital cost, starting at the left side, 9.5 million, 8.8 million, 9.9 million, and going to 14.5 million. Those are the capital costs that you'll find in each one of the segments where we're evaluating each one of those alternatives. Then what we do is we take out the $630,000 that you have for a grant, because that's the free money. And we say we would have to be borrowing, and I'll just use the first one, $8.9 million, that would be paid over the 20-year period. NMED requires us to evaluate these at a capital cost factor that's 4.625%. You'll see this in the note down below. That's not what your loan is. It's a 0% loan. However, in the overall evaluation, they require that to be utilized as a cost factor. So a cost recovery factor of 0.0007 or 0.07772 gives you an annualized cost for that alternative of $695,000 per year. That's the cost. It's slightly less because you have a 0% loan, and that's something that we show back later in the report. But basically that, we also have to, for a total cost evaluation, look at operation and maintenance costs. The O&M costs and the maintenance costs are included in the appendix, but it basically is looking at electricity for the main component for the operation, and about a 5% of the capital cost for the maintenance costs. That gives us a total annualized cost that basically is shown on the bottom line. We have two of the alternatives, 3 and 4, which are very, very close to each other, within 4%. Alternate 6, which is the BNR, or the Biological Nutrient Removal System, is very close also. I am not a perfect person, and if I can get it within 10%, I believe that's pretty much a wash, because I can't get it any closer than that at this elevation of my evaluation. So those three are very close. The other ones are really not close. They're 17, 21, and 17% higher than the total cost of so the other thing that we look at is non-cost factors, which if you flip the page to the next one, shows a table that has some alternatives. For each of those alternatives, some of the things that we would look at that you can't quantify in a cost analysis. Although we did say alternative costs of dollars per year, we had it kind of in there, but then we looked at sustainability, operator training requirements, permit issues, odor issues, reduction of greenhouse gases emissions, and expandability. And then we try to put a value to that, like a good engineer, and then look at the bottom line. It was very close on that as well. However, alternates 3 and 4 at 18 and 19, we're still looking at it, and they seem to be a reasonably good and potentially the better of the alternates that we looked at. So these two alternates that we have, 3 and 4, seem to be the ones that would be good for us to use. If we had an operator that had a preference, an overwhelming preference, if I had a mayor that had an overwhelming preference, or for some reason there was a reason for us to go with those, I would really like to listen to that as well. I've built both of those types of plans. The town of Bernalillo has one that is very close to the alternate 4 that you see in this system. They are putting out single-digit 5 milligram per liter instead of the 10 that we set as a design criteria. It takes care of the phosphorus that is in their influent and removes it biologically. They don't need to add alum or chemical filtration. It's a very good system. And actually, that's the one that we recommend. The other one, alternate 3, is a continuous flow SBR. I've built about 5 of those in the state, and they work very well. Both of these systems are very simplistic in operation and are not complicated and do not require a lot of operator attention. The one at the SBR that is at the village of Pecos has a treatment plant that is operated by someone similar to OMI. They are a private organization. They come in and look around and make sure nothing is blown up on an every other day basis, and it runs itself. And they might tweak it a little bit, take some samples to make sure it's still good. It tweaks itself and does okay. Same thing with the Bernalillo treatment plant. I know those systems. I know they work well. They will work well in this location. We have made the recommendation for alternate 4 as a sequencing extended aeration. However, I think the jury is still out, and we would like to have your operators go to locations within the state that are close by and look at the operations, talk to those operators, find out what they think about the system, and maybe glean some additional information. Maybe they can find preference. So we ended up with costs that we then plugged into the overall cost, and it came from this table here. And now we'll come to the big bottom dollar line. On page 19 is the total project capital cost, the front end cost of this alternative, of this project. The bottom line is $14 million. We started with $9 million, in the 8 or 9 million for that core wastewater treatment system. But we also know that you don't have grit removal. It's on
Table 19.
table 19, page 74. At your existing treatment plant, you've got fine screens that will remove these particulate material that's inside, in the raw flow. But you don't have something that will remove the grit. Grit is something that kills pumps and other equipment. So it's something that you don't have right now. It needs to be added. We looked at 3 different types that could be put in place, and the best one that seemed to be recommended for that location was a vortex type, and I notice a typo here in the table, for about $400,000. We also have sludge that you have never gotten rid of any at the existing wastewater treatment plant. That's something that you will have to do with regularity at the new one. And we looked at several different things. We looked at a belt filter press as well as a drying bed, which seemed to be reasonable for your facility. And we chose the belt filter press at about $600,000. The existing building and the site improvements, the electrical room that you have has significant corrosion occurring because it's right above the channel for the raw water, wastewater coming into the plant. It needs to be relined. And the facility, or that electrical room, probably needs some renovation. We also threw in some other costs for renovating, painting, making the building that's 20 years old livable again. That was in the range of $130,000. You have no emergency generator location. If the facility goes out, then the blowers are not feeding air, and the bugs that we've been so carefully growing and are treating your wastewater could die because they go into anaerobic conditions. For $75,000, that's for a 200 kilowatt genset, that's very cheap insurance. A big one at the bottom is the existing lagoon closure. We have had several quotes, informal, and they have yet to give me a formal written quote, and I've been asking for it for months. Is about $3 million. At least half of that is removal and dewatering of the sludge that's in the lagoons right now. That's a lot of sludge, that's a lot of cost. And what happens is that they will have to bring on, if you're gonna have that done totally by someone else, they will bring a trailer with a belt filter press on it and put it on site. They'll go out in each one of the lagoons, put a dredge in, and pump the sludge very slowly over to that belt filter press, which will then make a big pile of dewatered sludge, which then would be dewatered or removed and taken to the landfill. $3 million is a lot of money. It is, however, something that must be addressed. it's supposed to be addressed by NMED in your groundwater discharge permit right now, and it cannot be ignored. It has been included in the $14 million because of that NMED requirement. Can it be phased? Yes, it can. Do we have their attention right now for funding? Yes, we do. And so in some respects, and it was something that I didn't put in great big letters in the report, we have the state of New Mexico's attention, and they have said, we'll give you $7.5 million as a 0% loan repaid in 20 years. We asked for 10, and that was actually what we thought the cost would be. They went to 14. But they said in that letter of offer that if you need additional funds, please let us know and we can modify that. So, we have their attention. Put that in your back of your mind, because I think it's an extremely important thing. You will find also on page 76, we took that $14 million and I walked through essentially paying that back and looking at the old grants or bonds that you have that will be paid off by the time these new payments would come in place. So basically, we're going to have, I think it's $408,000 per year that you pay right now as a loan repayment for the grants or the bonds that you have. They go through, I think it's August or July of 2017. The construction schedule, if you look, flip back, and I'm not sure where it is. I think it's 1 or 2 pages back. But the construction schedule for this project will take us through 2017. The loan that you will get from NMED, however much it is, does not have to be paid until the plant is in operation, and that's coinciding with the retirement of the old bonds and the assumption of new bonds, or new loan that you get from NMED. So we don't have any double payment at that time. However, the $14 million is more than the existing loan repayment. If you walk through the numbers that I've got, and I've added operation costs to this, and then spread it over the number of users that you have in the city of Grants and the city of Milan, it comes out to about $9.23 a month for O&M costs. And then what I also looked at was we take the 14 million, take out the 630,000, and so we've got 13.6 million that we have to repay on an annual basis, 0% loan. Spread over the 20 years, that's 680,000 compared to the 408,000 that you have right now. It is higher. If you spread that across the number of users that you have, it looks at $9.67 for that capital repayment compared to the $5.80 that you're paying now per user. So it's about $3.87 per month that your net bill would be if you borrowed the whole $14 million. On the next page, we have some, just for comparison purposes, some of the costs of other places within the state. And I could give you 2 pages worth of those. I chose ones that were trying to get representative cities that are about the same size or that you would be familiar with. You don't have as many, and if you look at that, you don't have as many people as the city of Albuquerque. Their costs are in the range of $24 a month, but they've got a lot more people to spread it across. But yet, Taos Ski Valley is $69 a month, they don't have very many, a lot fewer than you do. The $35 per month, I believe that's what it was.
Are you suggesting that we raise the water bills by $9.67?
No, $4.
$3.87. That's what the new treatment plant would cost if you borrowed the whole 14 million, or went for the whole thing. If you phased it, took out 3 million from those sludge lagoons for closure of the sludge lagoons, you could reduce that by that appropriate amount. However, I look at it, it's gotta be done.
Could the sludge removal be done by our own staff?
Yes, ma'am. This is something that we have looked at slightly. You're gonna be putting in a sludge dewatering system. It's gonna be the same built filter press type that this guy that has the dredge pulls on site in a trailer. And if you delay that sludge dewatering and utilize your own equipment, your own staff, your own forces, you could be doing it on the odd days that you're not dewatering sludge from the treatment system. You could buy, rent, whatever, make up some kind of a dredge with a hose that goes over to the treatment plant and the sludge dewatering plant, and utilize it in maybe 2 out of the 7 days. For the city or the town of Bernalillo, it's a 1 MGD plant, uses a 1.5 MGD plant eventually. They dewater sludge 1 day a week, maybe 2 days a week. So there are several days that their sludge belt press is sitting idle. You could potentially utilize your own forces to dewater that sludge, put it in a truck, take it to the Red Rocks landfill. Yes. Have we explored that in great detail? No.
So that would save us 3 million off of the 14?
No, it wouldn't save you the 3 million. It would reduce the cost because it would be utilizing your own forces. You would have to have additional effort on your part that would have to be done. But you don't have to pay for the
Contractors.
the contract, because they're gonna probably pay for that belt press on your job. And, I mean, they gave us, I think it was $1.5 million to do the sludge dewater, and that's a lot of money. If you look at that table 10, the cost of a 1.5 MGD belt filter press system is $607,000. That's the total cost, including the building and the belt press. And the details of that cost breakdown are in the report. So yes, that is a distinct possibility.
How many people would it take, when we are running the belt, to take the sludge out? How many people would it take to do that?
You would likely have to have one person on the dredge, sucking it off of the bottom of the lagoon, and one person every once in a while going over and making sure everything's running right at the belt filter press.
And then we have to haul it off.
Then you have the truck driver, yes.
And pay to have it done.
Yes, and pay to have it done. But they would have the same costs.
Yeah.
They would have to have their own dump truck. They would have to pay Red Rocks to have it disposed of. There are also some little details in that sludge. You require a sludge management plan. It has to be approved by NMED before you can dump it into the Red Rocks landfill. However, you are very lucky. You've got one very close by in Farouk. So that will be able to.
And we can probably get a price cut on that, guys, because we are members of the board. Okay, and they'll probably give us a.
How long would it take to do it, to get that sludge out of there? Like 2 years or 6 months?
Yes.
Yes.
2 years and 6 months.
The village of Pecos is a village that I work with very closely. I've been working with them for 10 years. They have an SBR, which is one of the facilities that we looked at. They also have they had an aerated lagoon, and they still have on site 2 of those lagoons that are full of sludge. They had a sludge closure plan, or a lagoon closure plan that included getting rid of that sludge that was going to be over a 5-year period. The 5 years is up, and the NMED is saying, what are you gonna do without this sludge? So we've had to renew the sludge management plan, and as they get time, they are going to be removing it and putting it on the sludge drying beds that they have on site now. But right now, they're doing water meter replacements, and they just don't have time. But
So the sludge doesn't have to be removed before the new facility is operating?
no, that is correct. It does not have to be.
Does the state give any kind of deadline?
No, they require you to have a discharge, a groundwater discharge permit until that's taken care of. That's what they're doing for the village. Will they allow that because it's been in your permit for many, many years? I don't know. We just received the NMED comments on the PER, and I did not notice whether and I got them Friday afternoon. I don't recall whether they had anything in those comments that addressed potential for that kind of a phasing.
Is it complicated?
No. Complicated to phase?
No, to remove the sludge. Do we need special people to,
No.
special training?
No. You need a pontoon boat with a specialized dredge on it, and then a floating pipe that goes over and connects to some piping at your sludge dewatering.
And when the sludge gets, I'm assuming you're taking it off the top or from underneath, from the bottom?
No, you would be taking it clear down to the bottom. And
But I
it's
mean,
6 feet deep.
when it gets down to the bottom, does it get more complicated and messy, or you just, okay. So, and then it just dries out and you just remove it? Those ponds are lined?
No, they are not. They are lined with riprap, and it has a compacted clay liner. And it is a liner, so it's not leaking, but it has compacted clay that has been submerged for all this time, and provides essentially a very good barrier. 10 to the minus 6 centimeter per second is the flow that you would get through compacted clay.
Do we have to remove the riprap as well? Or can,
Yes.
at a certain point, can we just cover it up?
What we would do is end up having a system that you would remove the dikes and grade it to drain, but we have to remove all of the sludge prior to that time. And then we essentially start out with a pond system that is completely devoid of any sludge. And then we grade it, we take some of this dirt here, and put it over there, and get it to the point where it drains.
Do we need an engineer to oversee this, once a month, or while we're in it?
For the dewatering,
No,
No.
the sludge removal.
the sludge removal, yes. No, I think your people.
ROMI people can handle that, right?
Yes, I believe they can. Because the bottom line is, it won't go into the Red Rocks landfill unless it meets certain criteria. One is a paint filter test, where they put sludge in it and see if it drips. If it doesn't drip, then you can start hauling that sludge, and they can look at it and say, yeah, that's the same quality. And you'll have to also take some tests that say, I don't have arsenic or something that's a bad material.
Sulfur,
Yeah, that is in the sludge.
all the stuff they're nailing us for right now.
So are we safe in saying it would cost us $1.5 million to remove it ourselves?
That could be something that if you put a gun to my head, yes, it's probably in that range, additional effort.
But that wouldn't be in the loan that we get from the state.
There's the rub, and is there a way to do that? I don't know. We would want to negotiate that with NMED and see what they think about that as well.
So as far as the loan, I know we'll have to pass a loan ordinance, and we need to do that here probably in the next meeting or so. We need to publicize it, as an ordinance would need to be publicized, but do you have any recommendations for us that they're offering us the 7 million, but they did indicate in an email that we could ask for more because it's gonna cost more than the 7 million? What's your thinking on that? Because they said we could start out with what they're offering and then later add more. Would
That's
that be a better avenue and see if we come up with any other grants or funding?
I think it would be very wise for you to take the offer that they have now, put that into the resolution and adopt it and say, yes, we want this. And some of the behind-the-scenes discussions we're having with them already, they know that it's $14 million, the total costs. And what we would do is do a loan modification at a later date. And I'm not talking about 2016, I'm talking about this year, sometime in the spring or something like that, when we can get that worked out. That would modify that resolution that you've already passed, showing that you're proactive to get this on the table and get it taken care of.
Can we modify it after we get, after the bids are let and we hire a contractor? Is that when we modify it?
That might be something that the MED would allow us to do.
Because we're not gonna know until we get a
But
price.
it also may be something that they want to look at and say, okay, we're gonna put it at 14 million right now as a modification to that existing resolution that you have. And, you know, if we get bad bids or higher bids, we can look at that when the time comes. But that's back in July of 2016 that we'd be doing that, not right now. So that's a full year away. I think it would behoove you as a council to say, we want to move forward on this, and that's why we're accepting and developing.
We're taking the 7 million now and we'll ask for more later.
So what room for growth does this plant offer?
This allows room for growth, clear to the year, for over,
And
I
population wise?
continue to remember, I can't remember, if it's 20
Matter
or
with
25 years.
population?
It has a 0.8% growth per year, and it's in the front end of the report. We're looking at the end of the planning period as the 1.5 million gallons a day flow. Right now, you're running in the range of 900,000 to a million, or a 1.3 million it's 1.3 million. So we have additional capacity built into this for that whole planning period.
And the location is there where the existing one is?
That's correct.
Yeah, that's
We
the
also,
plan right there.
we also looked, at the request of the mayor, we looked at utilizing a site at the bottom of the hill.
Right.
That would continue to pump effluent to the top of the hill, because that's where your golf course is. And there's a section, special section in here talking about those costs. And what we found was no particular advantage in locating it there, and an additional 2.4 or $2.5 million it would cost to locate it there. There were several disadvantages that would have to be looked at. You have existing admin facilities, disinfection facilities, screening facilities at the top of the hill. You would have to locate new ones down at the bottom of the hill. You also have high groundwater table. You have a fairly corrosive soil down there that you'd have to use special concrete with, and other issues that truly made it a little bit more expensive to have it down there. You're closer to town. You potentially could have odor problems. I'm blessed with no capability of smelling. I went to the Bernalillo treatment plant, I didn't smell a thing. Paul went to the Bernalillo treatment plant with me, he said, it stunk. But, I mean, it was, you know, I smelled it as a musty odor. And if you place it down.
You've been doing this too long, Bob.
I know, I think that may be what it is. I don't know.
Do we have waste lines running under I-40 from the north side to the south side? Paul?
We do at the motels, yeah, where the motels, is that what you're talking about? Oh, across I-40.
Under I-40.
We have under I-40 coming from Zuni Canyon highway there, just a little bit west of Diamond G, in that area over there.
What
My
about the
understanding-
senior citizens and all those?
Have three.
And
They do
senior
too, right?
citizens also, that's right.
Yeah, they all come underneath the freeway too, guys.
And Street Zoo Canyon.
Yes.
Milana is also.
That's the growth that I'm concerned about because, someday what if we annex part of that sloping mountain over there and across from the highway? Do we have enough, do we have a big enough pipe to,
Wayne can answer that, but I don't believe so.
Page 4 is the growth projections that we had. They were looking at Milan, grants in Milan, the county, and was going clear out to year 2040. I'm not sure whether that would, it's a pretty flat line growth pattern that you have here. I'm
well,
not
let
sure.
me ask it this way. If somebody put a motel on the north side or on the south side of I-40 at the 81 interchange, could our pipes handle that much waste?
No,
Why? They're just not big enough?
it's not big enough, they're only a 6-inch line going across the freeway underneath, right
But
there by
could-
the senior center.
Could it be enlarged with?
Yes,
My understanding is that somebody wanted to put a motel and a C-store over there, and the reason they couldn't is because there wasn't enough sewer line there, enough waste line?
that was right
Big
there by
enough?
the Zuni Canyon,
Yeah,
right there by the telephone company.
Right.
Yeah, that was La Quinta,
right.
and we didn't have the water to give them. It's only a 4-inch, and it drops down to a 2-inch, so all the residents out there at the Zuni Canyon.
Yeah.
The only place we have a 4-inch is right there at the hydrant by the phone company.
Right,
The rest is all 2-inch.
and so that's gonna be a problem from now on. That's why that 81 is not being developed. They don't have the water and the
right here
waste.
to Mr. Lusk's place.
Could that be included? Is it feasible to include that in this project, or is that not part of this project?
It,
Couldn't be
in
included?
some respects, it's a small blip, a single, small, facility like what you're looking at would not be overall affecting the total flow that you would have in the wastewater treatment plant.
We would just
Well, I'm
have
not
to make
talking about
arrangements to
that.
get it into the flow.
Yeah.
In other words, we'll enlarge the line out here coming into, or we connect in from Milan, vice versa, same thing out here at the seniors, we have to put a bigger line that will run in and connect in order to put a motel out there.
And this preliminary engineering report was not looking
Yeah.
at sewer capacity at all.
Right.
The amount of expansion that you're talking about wouldn't be noticed within the overall picture. It would be noticed as a problem right there at that 2-inch water line going across the interstate and the small gravity sewer line coming back. Those can be handled individually as issues would develop just for that. Yes, they could be handled.
But could they be included, I'm talking about boring under I-40 to create bigger waste lines and bigger water lines?
That can be done, yes.
Pipe bursting.
Would it necessarily be affecting the overall answer of this PER? No. And I'd be glad to talk to you about it as a separate project.
Anything else from the council? What are we looking for here? Are we looking for a recommendation to go with this law? Talk to us, Paul.
What our intention was tonight is to present these options to you and listen to questions on it with the idea that you go away with some information about this project.
So we're not
It's a
taking
big
any
project.
action on this
We're
yet?
not taking any action tonight. What we want you to do is
Read this?
mull over it, do some research if you want, ask some questions, and then we'll come back at the next city council meeting to make a decision. Basically, we have alternative 3 and alternative 4. Looks like the alternatives that is gonna work best for us. I spent a lot of time with Bob this month going over this stuff and working on this stuff. And these other plants, more expensive, they don't do any more than what this plant does. And so we're looking at that, we're looking at alternatives to get those costs down. One of the problems we have is we're footing the bill for this thing, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And so
But it's one of those necessities that we have to have.
it's, yeah, oh yeah, we have to do it. So the other thing that we're doing, and Bob's gonna set up some more tours of a couple of plants in the next couple of weeks, and we wanna send out an invitation to any of you that would like to go on any of that. We're gonna try to schedule it for one day, right?
Correct.
One day, we're gonna go to two plants, two different plants, one of each of these, correct?
Correlio, Pecos.
And Pecos. One of the things that you can't get from looking at these papers here is how do they operate and what does it smell like? And so, I've already been to a couple of plants. One of them was Bernalillo and the other one was Nambe. And so I wanna go see another one because that's a big issue, that we need to minimize the odor from our wastewater treatment plant. And it can be done. It can be done.
I would recommend you take Joe along the control.
Exactly.
The operator now.
Yeah, he'll be going along also. We also,
Joe Quintana?
Yeah.
we also gave a copy of this PER to OMI, CH2M Hill. And their people are looking over it too to get recommendations since they are the operator of our plant now. So that's gonna be another recommendation that we'll hear from them. So these are still the things that we're doing. These preliminary numbers, I think there's a lot of room to move on these.
Well, yeah, I thought they were really low. It was just like when I was speaking to Bob about how low they were. When we built the first one, we built the golf course too. So I'm sure that was part of the $30 million cost of that first one, something in there, 26 million, whatever it was probably part of the golf course, making part of the golf course, all the lagoons were done. So,
I don't know.
I don't know either, but that would be my guess why it would cost so
But I
much.
know the city was only, our note payment is only on about 6 or 7 million for the existing wastewater treatment.
So should we start working on the loan ordinance and posting that?
We did talk to NMED last week when I was with Bob. We got NMED on the phone and asked them about that, about the loan ordinance. My thoughts were it was premature when we didn't even know what plant we were gonna build, what the cost was gonna be. And so I asked them, I said, what do you recommend? Do we accept this now and can we get more money down the road, or do we wait to see what we're gonna need and come back with it? And his recommendation was, he said, well, you can do it either way, but if you go ahead and accept it now, we can always make an amendment to it. And I asked him, I said, will you increase the money if we need it? Because they already understand that we're gonna need more money than they have anticipated. And he said that they do it all the time, and he says that he doesn't see a problem where they wouldn't do it in this case. You know, so it's a matter of finding a way to pay for this, and number one, and number two, trying to build it as cost effectively as we can, and those will be, you know, the goals that I will have, you know, during the term of this construction.
Over. Anything else?
Bob, why is the operation costs between number 3 and number 4 so much? $150,000.
On table 10?
Page 52. You were recommending either number 3, alternate 3, or alternate 4. The operation cost per year?
The operation cost 87 versus 232.
232, yeah.
Okay, that's the alum
Chemicals?
requirements, chemical addition to reduce the phosphorus load. We talked to them and said, it gets complicated. In the range of 8 milligram per liter phosphorus, trying to take it down to 1. Some plants can remove phosphorus from 8 to 1 biologically, without adding chemicals. And the alternate 3 required the addition of chemicals and filtration. So that's a piece of equipment and some chemicals to remove the phosphorus. And so that's the reason.
That's basically the reason.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I like that, because the price of chemicals may jump in 10 years, much higher than we think.
That's correct.
Not only that, but if we can get away from putting chemicals in it all, it's better for everybody downstream, it's better all the way around.
Yeah.
And the other thing we looked at, I've looked at numbers for population growth for Cibola County, McKinley County over the next 50 years. And I've seen a couple of projections, and none of them are projecting a large growth. Matter of fact, in McKinley County, they're projecting negative growth. And but that's not to say something won't happen around here. So one of the things that we looked at, and I asked Bob about, and we talked about, was what is the expandability of this system? And in both this alternate 3 and alternate 4 systems, the ability to expand is pretty simple. To
Yeah,
expand.
they might open.
Right. Yeah, we are in a boom and bust community, and it can happen again.
Yeah.
So we looked at that.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
If you are
We're gonna read through it, I'll
Oh,
guarantee you.
please. If you have any questions, day or night, give me a call. I'd be most happy to answer any questions that you might have. This is, as they say, it may be wastewater to you, but it's bread and butter to me. And I would be most happy to try to talk to you about it.
Thank you, Bob, we appreciate you. You guys realize that they built this first one 26 years ago, 25 years ago.
If there's a way we can include those wastewater, waste and water under I-40, that's gonna make developing exit 81 a lot easier and a lot more, I mean, somebody wanted to do that and we couldn't provide water for them. There'd be a motel sitting right there right now.
What was the distance from the 4-inch to the 2-inch? What would have to be done?
Yeah, I don't know, that's why I was asking if it could be included in this.
That's a pipe burst where they go inside the old pipe and they pump.
Yeah, right.
Until they get the 4-inch line all the way through.
Yeah.
We had to do it up on Mesa underneath the gas lines and stuff, and we get a sewer line there.
Yeah.
Because they didn't want us digging on the gas lines and stuff, so we went underneath with that pipe explosion technology and we lined it through there. Yeah, it was probably 6-8 years ago, right when I first came on the council.
Someday, we're gonna have
Yeah,
to do it.
someday we're gonna have to.
Someday we're gonna have to do it. We're gonna have to do nothing like that.
I'll answer some technical questions and
They're
specifics.
looking at it, man. They're working on that already. Next, credit card policy, that one's yours, Laura?
Yes, we're fixing to get a business credit card, and I contacted other municipalities to get their credit card policy, and I looked at the county's credit card policy, and then I created our own based on what those had. And so I came up with some very basic stuff, and each staff, we're anticipating that we'll assign a credit card to the department heads, and not all of them, just ones that might have the need for a credit card, such as those that do background checks, things that need to be done online. And I'm anticipating about 5 department heads, and then we'll keep a credit card here at City Hall, that other staff that need to purchase something online can do that here and utilize the one here. And so these are the basic guidelines. Each staff will be trained and then sign an agreement that they will adhere to this policy.
How many do you anticipate having cards, Laura?
About 5 department heads and 1 here at City Hall. Some,
Which part of the department heads are we talking about?
like the police chief, the fire chief, Good Samaritans, or the Senior Citizen Center. I'm trying to think, I made a list. I was trying to think of those that I know do purchases that they might need to do
Water
with credit
department?
cards.
Communities, that one's city hall.
Possibly, yeah. I
Is
thought
that
of
what it's
5, but I know the Senior Citizen Center, possibly the golf course may need it. Maybe the golf course is one of those. And then 1 here at City Hall.
You don't think 5 is too many?
No, I know some of the municipalities, Denise just went to some training, and she said one of them, they all had them. Each staff member had their own credit card. And I think, I talked with our auditor, and she said we should start out slow and, really control it, so that we don't run into issues and we see how it works.
So all the expenditures have to be accounted for.
Right. And I people will need to requisition it, just like they normally do, but they will put on it a credit card transaction. And then that way it goes through that same approval process. But there are things, for instance, we're making those wrap cards for, the golf course. We could do it through Vistaprint, which is very economical, but they only take a credit card. And so,
Not only that, but we've had deals where we're trying to get licenses for our
Yes.
people, and they only take credit cards, so we're reimbursing Laura for using her credit card and stuff
right,
like
the
that.
fingerprinting
have one right
process.
now.
Yeah, we don't even have one.
We have a gas one, and that's the only one we have for gas.
Are we gonna have people, is there gonna be a signature line for, authorization for usage?
It will probably be only the department heads that are assigned the car.
What about the one that's gonna be kept here at the
The
city?
city hall, that would be on
Yeah,
Laura.
so they would have to have us make their purchase for them,
Yes.
because it will have one of our names on it,
And there'll be a limit on each card.
yes.
Or a limited use.
Yeah, limited use. On that note, if there's no other questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve this.
A motion to approve the credit card.
Second, Eddie. Counselor Quintana?
Yes.
Counselor Sandoval?
Yes.
Counselor Dickens?
Yes.
Counselor Lewis?
Yes.
Thank you, guys. This next one is mine, New Mexico, this is what we discussed last time, supporting Santa Fe and taking tax limitations off of our home rules. I'm not gonna read the whole resolution, but I will read the top. It's a resolution 15-1480, and it's calling on the New Mexico State Legislature to take immediate action during the 2015 legislative session to enact legislation that would remove the taxing limitations currently imposed on home rule municipalities, which we are one of, and to take immediate action on tax reform initiatives to bring balance, equity, and financial stability to the municipal governments. Any questions on this one? We discussed it at length last week, or last meeting. I'll entertain a motion to pass this in support of Santa Fe and all home rules.
We'll make a motion to go ahead and pass resolution 15-1480.
Second,
Second.
Counselor Quintana?
Yes.
Counselor Sandoval?
Yes.
Counselor Dickens?
Yes.
Counselor Lewis?
Yes.
I appreciate that, guys. This next one here is Michael Lewis's resolution. Mike, if you want to read it.
Sure. I was brought this by a citizen here, and I thought it was a great idea. I passed it around to some other people in the city that felt strongly about it as well, and so the city has recommended that we create this resolution calling on the New Mexico State Legislature to take action during the 2015 legislative session to enact legislation that would set a 36% cap on interest rates on all loans. Whereas currently payday loans, installment loans, signature loans, and any other named loans that amount to triple and quadruple digit interest rates that hand financially desperate New Mexicans an unfair rate. Should I read the whole thing?
If you would, please.
Whereas 20 states have already capped interest rates at a 36% rate or less, whereas the state's court has put these lenders on notice at least twice, but they continue to charge exorbitant rates on small loans that turn money for groceries or utility bills into a revolving door of debt, and tend to target single parents, the working poor, those on fixed income, veterans, and minorities. Whereas 75% of the companies that profit from these fees are out-of-state businesses. Now therefore be it resolved by the governing body of the City of Grants that the governing body hereby calls the New Mexico State Legislature to take immediate action during the 2015 legislative session to enact legislation that would place a 36% cap on the interest rate for all loans. And here, I think, is the most important part. Be it further resolved that the city clerk is directed to send a copy of this resolution to the New Mexico Congressional Delegation, the Speaker of the New Mexico House of Representatives, the President Pro Tem of the New Mexico State Senate, and New Mexico Municipal League, and the city's state legislative delegation. And the reason that these things are not passed in the New Mexico State Legislature each year is because the lobbies come in and pay our legislators to keep from them passing. And I want to know how each one of our legislators vote up there on this issue.
On that notion, I will accept a motion to
Yes.
Counselor Sandoval?
Yes.
Counselor Dickens? Yes. Counselor Lewis?
Yes.
Thank you guys very much. This next one here, guys, is, we're fixing to have Sunny Farm Blanche open up the greenhouse. Okay, they've made a deal with us and they want to, the lawyer suggested that we do this in closed session and I'm against that. Okay, they're gonna give us $100,000. What I'm looking for is authorization to let Laura accept that instead of stock options. We want the $100,000 cash. And let's get that thing open and move forward.
They want to open it, what are they gonna grow?
Cucumbers, peppers, they're the guys that came down and looked at it that we toured with. Tomatoes, all kinds of different stuff.
Medical pot.
Not yet, but they might later. Who knows? I don't really care, guys, as long as it's open and they're working.
Putting jobs.
Okay, yeah. I mean, if they're gonna grow medicinal marijuana, personally, I don't have a problem with it. As long as they're paying taxes, we're in, man.
I'll make a motion to.
Wait, is this is action item on the agenda?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Number 9, authorize the city manager to accept the second amendment plan of reorganization from Sunnyland Farms Incorporated and accept payment of the city's allowed claim in cash or stock.
And what
And
are
that
we
cash
giving?
payment is $100,000.
What are we giving them?
Nothing.
Nothing. They owe back, bills for water and in the amount of $70,000, and then they calculated interest on that and attorney fees. And so they're, got a settlement from, the electric company. The Sunnyland Farms sued the electric company because there was a fire at the Estancia plant. And so they got a settlement, and that money's being distributed to those that they owed money to.
So this pulls this thing out of bankruptcy?
Well, hopefully,
Pretty
there
close.
may be some that object to it, and so if some in this plan object, and Eileen may know more, it could still continue on.
And do we keep the $100,000 whether it comes out of bankruptcy or not?
Yeah, because it's part of the bankruptcy settlement, so we'll have to wait and see, right, Eileen?
I believe so.
Yeah, it's part of the
Mayor,
bankruptcy settlement.
council members, and city manager. So where does that leave you as far as the back taxes that are owed?
That's
Well-
with the county.
That's with the county, and the settlement that I got, I read through it this week, and it came in Friday, and we have to send it back by February 2nd, so I wanted to get it on the agenda. It looks like the county did not fill out their paperwork to file a claim, and so they probably are not gonna get any money.
Well, so I had a meeting with Bob Gallagher on Friday, and we discussed this. And so he had just received the packet as well, and so he was going to be looking into it. So I don't know what the county will or will not be doing. However, I would suggest that you ask for a reorganization plan in detail with the specific timeline in place as to when the greenhouse will become operational. It is my understanding that there is not one in place.
The packet I got had a plan written in it, and it looks like, once everything's paid off, the company that bought the rights into it, which had a very strange name, it was a number in Ontario Incorporated.
Yes, the company that bought them from Farm Credit.
They have bought the rights to this, I guess, or the reorganization plan, and so they are looking at, trying to reestablish the greenhouse. If that is not feasible, then they will sell everything that's within it, and sell all the assets. So the first idea, and they've, looking at hiring an expert to come in and start the operation up. They're anticipating, it said 3 months to get it refurbished and ready to go, which I think after going in, it's gonna be quite a task.
But the question is whether we want cash or stocks.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
the
definitely want cash.
Yes, we definitely want cash.
That's what Laura needs authorization.
Yes, that's what I'm asking for, so
Now,
authorize
there-
us to accept that loan.
There were several that, such as the county, that didn't file their paperwork by the deadline, which was November 14th. And so they are being recommended that they don't get any part of the settlement.
Wow.
So if they.
Sure, I'm glad you filed paperwork, girl, because guys, to be perfectly honest, I had told another organization that I'd be willing to write that money off if they would get it open and start paying taxes on it. You know, I was gonna go to you guys and say, let's write this off and let's get it going. But if they're gonna give us money, guys, I say, let's take the money and run.
Cash.
Yeah.
if we don't have to give them anything in return, and we still, I don't know how you could say this to them, but if that place, if nothing's done with that place in the next 2 or 3 years, and they're just doing this to keep it up, or to get ownership of it, we still have the right to condemn that place. And we'll treat that building just like we treat the other buildings in this town. If it starts breaking down and people driving in there and tearing that place apart and stealing stuff, we can condemn that building.
Yeah, they already did that, actually. They took all the copper lines.
Well, there's still a lot of stuff there that's valuable.
Yeah, I mean, look, but they've already gone through the walls, took out all the copper, wire and pipe.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of glass there.
Yeah.
City Manager, does the reorganization plan call for the holding company that holds the note on the land and the property to have insurance? Because they have not had insurance this whole time.
I don't remember, but we can look at that and see. Yeah.
I would suggest so. It's quite a hazard at this point.
Is that what happened with the Estancia plant? They didn't have insurance to cover?
No, what happened was that there was a discrepancy in the water bill. The water got turned off. Then when the fire happened, there was not water to put the fire out. So the lawsuit was between the Estancia Valley Co-op and Sunnyland Farms. And that's how that played out. But once that went away, and this facility here was still operating, but no place to do the processing, then things went downhill from there. But I know insurance has not been maintained on the property for quite some time. So someone is gonna have to invest a significant amount of money to get it operational again. And that's why I suggest having very specific and detailed timeline and plan to get it operational. Because the holding company is a consortium of growers from that area up in Canada.
Well,
That
and
all
I'm
work very
thinking
closely
the
together.
plan was from the bankruptcy court. It's quite lengthy. It's got quite a bit, and it talks about what has to be done and by what time.
Right.
I don't remember it talking about insurance, but I didn't read it real close.
It's for the city's benefit and safety, it is quite a hazard. If something happens there, you need to think about that.
Thank you.
Which one? That one, 3, and an alternate.
So do we need a motion?
Yes, I need a motion